All right, so today we're going to look at the slave trade, the African slave trade in Africa, and what was the trade slave like, the experiences, the method in which they would have obtained African as slaves. We're going to look at the journey from the interior of Africa to the coast of Africa, and also when the Africans reached the Americas. And so basically, these are some of the things that we're going to look at today. So before we go into that, we need to have a map of Africa and look. This is Africa. Everybody should know Africa. This is for most of us, if not all, unless you're a Chinese national. Even if you're a Chinese or a European, Africa is the cradle of civilization, right? It's the birthplace of civilization. It is a great continent. It is a beautiful continent. Africa is homeland. Ethiopia, which is along here, which some people believe that the Garden of Eden is around this area between this side of Africa into the Middle East. Some people believe that the Middle East is also part of Africa. You'd have studied places like what they call that country? Egypt, which is here. Beautiful, beautiful, and very diverse continent. Right? Very, very diverse continent. Beautiful. It is not a backward continent. It is not backward. It is not uncivilized. Our hair is not bad. Our nose is not big. Our lips not big. So we are proud descendants. For those of us who are descendants, are direct descendants. Because I know some people in the class might be Chinese or full European, right? Or full Indian. You have people that come to the school, but the majority of us within the space are direct descendants of Africa. And so we form part of the diaspora of Africa, and we are not from a bad place. Our people is not from a bad place. The first university in the world is from was in Africa. There's a lot of firsts. You see the great civilizations in Egypt. You also see some of the great civilizations in we call it place now, Ethiopia. In fact, one of the oldest church, if not the oldest church in the world, the oldest church in the world, I believe, is in Ethiopia. Africa is very diverse. You have several different religious groups in Africa. You have Christians who dominate this area, some parts of this area. You have Jews living in this area. Muslims, traditional religions, religious diversity in Africa. Right? And so not only is Africa diverse when it comes to culture and people, songs and religion, dress, but Africa is also diverse in terms of its vegetation or its region. So we know for sure that there are three main regions in Africa. Some people have more than three, but there are three main regions in Africa. This area right here, which is at the north, is the Sahara Desert, which is here. Most of this area is the Sahara Desert, right? And so you see a lot of people go to Africa, they try to visit that area, diverse. Then we also have the Savannah region, which is along here. The Savannah region is along here. And this region is mostly grassland. Mostly grassland. And also you have the tropical forest area, which is here, which is dark green along here. The tropical forest area. Africa is divided into several different, so we know Africa is divided into several different uh, vegetations, but Africa is also divided based on the cardinals. So you have North Africa, which is here. So up this side is North Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, West Africa. All along this side is West Africa and South Africa. Right? So if we look at this, we see that Africa, very, 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 very diverse. In fact, I think Africa is one of the continent that is the most diverse continent in the world. And Africa is divided into different kingdoms. Right now, Africa is divided into about 54 different countries. So there are 54 different countries on Africa. But before Africa was divided into countries, you had kingdoms. There are different ethnic groups or tribal groups all over Africa. Each group had their own governance structure, their own government, their own religion, their own philosophy, and all of these different stuff. So we know for sure that it is very diverse. Now, enslaved Africans that came to the West Indies came from this region, West Africa. West Africa. So most of our ancestors came from West Africa. And more so the tropical forest area, right? But they came from West Africa. There are several different methods in which Europeans would have obtained Africans in West Africa for slavery in the Americas. And notice I didn't say they went there to get slaves, because our ancestors were never slaves. They were human beings, and our ancestors were Africans. And if you don't want to call them Africans, you can call them by their different tribal groups. But they were not slaves. They were enslaved. enslaved. They were enslaved. And so, as a result of that, they went into Africa to obtain Africans for slavery or to enslave them. There are three ways in which they go into Africa, West Africa to be specific. One, communities were raided. So you attack village mostly at nights and you capture the Africans. As I say to you that West Africa or Africa on a whole is very diverse. There are several different regions. And as a result of that, you had several different groups, tribal groups or ethnic groups. I prefer to use the word ethnic groups. Not only Africa alone had several different ethnic groups, but also India and Europe. The entire world had different ethnic groups. North America had different ethnic groups because all the Indians, indigenous Indians, were not the same. Yeah, the Arawaks, not the Arawaks, the Tainos, the Kalinagos, even the Tainos had several different groups within it. So Africa is not different when it comes to uh, ethnic diversity. Africa also had ethnic groups. And so ethnic groups went to war. Just like how European tribes went to war, just like how Indian tribes went to war, just like how Kalinagos and Tainos went to war. West Africans, tribal groups went to war also. And so when they went to war, they exchanged their prisoners, or when they went to war, they got prisoners from different tribes and they sold them into slavery for debt, for crime. Because of crime they would have done, or they owed them something, or they were prisoners. Another way was kidnapping. This is the very sad, the saddest part of African history, where people within tribes kidnap people and also uh, and sold them into slavery. Very, very sad part. So there are three main ways in which Africans were obtained. So I'm going to show you a short video from a website on YouTube with this. 1 second. Give me some few minutes or seconds. It's taking a long time to upload, all right?
me tell you about Mamadou Diallo, the gold jeweler, and Sira Kalibali, the catcher of...
I heard thee coming.
So kidnapping was one way in which uh, they would have obtained Africans, right? And you can see for sure that they would have gone into the interior of Africa, West Africa, densely forested area. They got in this area, obtain Africans, then they bring them to the coast, and then from the coast, well, at the coast there's a ship, and then they're on the ship, and they brought them to the Americas or to the Caribbean in which we are studying. Let us look at the journey to the coast. So we know for sure that they captured them here either by raids, either through ethnic war or kidnapping. Somewhere we know for sure that they would have obtained them. Then they are on their way to the coast. Now, Africans would have worked with Europeans to capture other Africans. These Africans who actually work with the Europeans, they were called African slave traders, right? European would have established forts along the coast. So along the coast of Africa, you had quite a lot of forts, and I'm going to show you, they would have built these nice elaborate buildings. These are forts that Europeans would have built along the coast, along this area, because this is where our people came from. So along the coast, they built these forts. And so Europeans, you had the Europeans have established these forts along the coastal area of Africa, West Africa to be specific. Then going into the interior of Africa, not all European, not all white persons are going in. Usually, one white man went into the forest with the African slave traders. And so once they go in, they are going to capture the Africans and they are going to fasten them in pairs. So they are going to put them in pairs, and then from pairs, they are going to group them with rope or a chain in fours. And that's how they are going to allow them to walk to the coast. A white shaped stick or metal was placed around their necks that was called a cuffle. So if we look at this, this is the cuffle that is placed around their neck. They are usually first in groups of twos and then fours, and then you can see, but this has 2, 4, 6, but this is how it usually goes. Now the journey from here, because this is not, they are coming from the interior, which is along here. The coast is here. The interior is here. From the coast, from the interior to the coast, it took them, where am I? It took them 3 to 8 months to get to the coast. So they are walking for 3 to 8 months. So it was a very long journey, right? And it was for 3 to 8 months. So you're almost walking for an entire year to get to the coast. Each morning along the way, the captives were inspected. If you were weak and you were sick, they separate you from the others and you were left to die along the way, right? So let us see if this has give you an idea of the journey. Oh, you're not seeing it. Sorry. So this gives you a perfect example. The cuffle which is placed around their neck, they are chained and they are moving towards the coast. So they come from the interior and they're going to the coast.
I am Aminata Gio.
And so you can see that they have their little rest spots. They rest on the way. Obviously, they have to rest, sleep in the chains and all of these different stuff, and they're on their way to the coast. Yes. So we know for sure that they are on their way to the coast, which so we are actually here at the coast now. At the coast, European nations would have owned different forts. So you had Africa, you had the British, the French, the Dutch, the Portuguese, the Danish, who would have owned several forts along the coast, and they sent their ships from Europe to this part of Africa. So if you look where you see the red dots, these are the British forts that were along the west. The blue dots are the French, the green dots, the Dutch, right? And the orange dots, the Portuguese. So European countries would have owned several forts. Now, these are the names of some of the forts in West Africa, slave forts where the enslaved people went after they came from the interior of Africa. You have Almina, Accra, Cape Coast, Wida, Old Calabar, Lagos, Popo, right? So these are the names of some of the forts in West Africa. Please know the names of some of the forts because they do ask you the questions in the exam to name one or two of the forts, right? So at least know two of the forts in West Africa. Now, we know for sure that European nations built and owned the forts on the West African coast. And some of the members who owned these forts were members of the royal family. So Queen Elizabeth today, her family members would have owned uh, forts, and they also own shipping companies. So several different shipping companies is going to come to the forts, and they are going to purchase Africans at the fort and then carry them to the Americas. So the British company was called the Royal African Company. The, the French, the French West India Company, the Dutch West India Company, and the Danish West India Company. So these companies So if you look at this map here, this is the fort and this is the ship. So each of the different ships they are going to come. They are owned by different countries, but the fort is owned, as you see, this fort look like it is a British fort owned by the British. So more likely this would be a Royal African Company, which was owned by the British, and they are going to go and they are going to get enslaved Africans. Now, the ships that are coming to the forts, they are not coming to the forts just empty, just like that. They are coming from several different parts of Europe. Please know the different parts. In England or Britain, you had Liverpool. So ships came from Liverpool, Bristol, and London. You have in the Netherlands, you have Amsterdam. In France, you have Naples and the Boex. I think that's how it's pronounced in France. I never did French. I have Lisbon and Cadiz, which is in, well, Lisbon is in Portugal and Cadiz, this is in Spain. And so ships are leaving from all of these different areas in Europe, right? Let us see if I can find a better map. So all of the ships, they are leaving from Europe and they are going to West Africa. On the ships, they are bringing goods to West Africa, right? To sell. Now let us look at the fort, at the coast, sorry, what is going on. So you had a factor, an agent who inspect the Africans once they arrive, and then they are going to record them by number. Then after they record them by number, they are going to divide them into two groups. So you have a group that is called the Macrons, those who are rejected. So if they reject you and they said, no, you're too sick, you're too weak, you're too old, it makes no sense for us to bring you to the West Indies or the Americas. You were called the Macrons. And the other group was the accepted group, those who they accept, most of the young. Once you're accepted, they brand you with an iron, right? And then you're put in a house to stay, which is called the barracoons. So this is one picture of the barracoons. This is a wooded barracoons where they are housed. And this is a barracoon within the fort, your house within there. After that, the ships are going to arrive with different goods from Europe. So the ships are coming from Liverpool, Bristol, London, Amsterdam, all of these places. And they are going to Africa with goods. Some of the goods they are going with is pots, guns, mirrors, ammunition, and they are going to exchange the Africans with for these goods, right? So there's an exchange going on, a barter system, and then they are going to examine the Africans before they go on to the ship. So this is a barracoon in which they are housed. Now, before you go onto the ship, if you look at this door right here, and more so this door, this is Barack Obama at the door. This is the door that our ancestors came through to go onto the ship from the barracoon. This door is called the door of no return. The door of no return. Therefore, the ships are now, so we know for sure that the ships leave from here, Europe, to West Africa with goods, from West Africa to the Americas or the Caribbean with enslaved Africans, and then all the goods that the enslaved people produce in the Caribbean, the ships are going to take those goods to Europe. So this is what we call the triangular trade, because it's like a triangle, right? So it's a triangular trade. However, the journey from West Africa to the Americas or the Caribbean, in which only enslaved Africans were on this journey, this part of the journey is called the Middle Passage. Another name for this entire the trade from here to here is also called the transatlantic slave trade. So all of this is a triangular trade. Please know the different parts, because sometimes they ask you to draw the triangular trade and to show the different points where they are leaving from and what is going on each of the journey, and to highlight which side is the Middle Passage. Once they reach in the Caribbean, they are washed. The enslaved people are washed. They are oiled. They are inspected, and then they are going to sell them. There are two ways in which they sell them when they reach to the Caribbean, either by scramble or by auction. Where am I? So let us look at an auction, which is
1841, New Orleans. Ground zero for the slave trade.
How much?
It's auction day, the day every slave fears the most. In the first half of the 19th century, over 500,000 slaves are sold at auction. It's a business worth $2 billion to the Southern economy. Since the cotton boom, the value of slaves has skyrocketed. Now men cost $1,000, women $800, children $500. Solomon Northrop, an educated free man from the North, was kidnapped into slavery.
Go for you. Come over here.
He would make us hold up our heads, walk us briskly back and forth, while customers would feel our hands and arms and bodies. Make us open up our mouths and show our teeth, precisely as a jockey examines a horse which he is about to barter for or purchase. Scars upon a slave's back were considered evidence of a rebellious or unruly spirit and hurt his sale.
90% of all African Americans are slaves. 4 million men, women, and children.
We had based this country on everyone having inalienable rights to freedom and equality, and yet we created a system of abject persecution.
Slaves are fattened for auction, like livestock. Dark-skinned men are bought for the fields, light-skinned women for the house. Traders lie about their ages, even dye a slave's gray hairs.
For the plantation owners, it was like just going to your local supermarket to get sugar or flour. They had become so desensitized to the humanity of the slave that they did not see them as human beings.
Buyers demand the most fertile slaves for breeding. The most expensive are light-skinned teenage virgins. Rape is common. Eliza's from a state plantation. She's being sold with her 2 children, Emily and Randall. In Louisiana, it's illegal for children under 11 to be taken from their parents.
Boy, come over here.
It happens all the time.
No, that is in Louisiana, not in the Caribbean, right? People were separated. And other parts of the US, they were also separated. Children separate from their parents. Caribbean, most of us don't know our family members because they were separated.
Time.
You know, 140 years is not a really long time in the context of history. So it's hard for me to believe that blacks didn't have any rights here. They weren't treated as human beings. They were treated like animals, essentially.
Sir, please.
You go. There's your little business.
Oh, my life.
Over half the sales at auction will tear a family apart.
If you've ever been 8, to think of being separated from your mother and your father and sold and you'll never see them again. The horror of that, the poignancy of all of that, and yet that's the kind of thing that happened across the South up until the end of slavery.
Okay, my final offer. $1,000 for that man. Yep. $900 for that man. The woman there, $700.
Please, Mama, my child. Sir!
I have seen mothers kissing for the last time the faces of their dead offspring, but never have I seen such an exhibition of intense grief as when Eliza was parted from her child.
Come on, you go.
Sir, I'm not hearing anything.
Yes, I said, thank you very much. I said 15 million people, 15 million people came from West Africa to the Caribbean. And so if you're going to take 15 million people from this area, what is going to be the effect on Africa, on West Africa? What will be the effect on West Africa? Right? And so tomorrow we're going to look at the effect on West Africa. Is it that they're going to have positive effect of the slave trade on West Africa? Is it going to have negative effect on West Africa? Taking away 15 million people. Just imagine if in Jamaica you have 3 million people and they come here and they take 2 million people from here and they sell us into slavery, maybe in the US. What is going to be the effect? Look at your schools. How many of you there is going to be affected? How the society would change drastically. And then this is another very important point of it. The door of no return. The door of no return. One second.
Left or right, I cannot tell who died and fell. Fearful eyes peered through the dark, each hoping to make out the mark. There is burned with hot irons, like Sunday roast, on each one condemned to this Cape Coast. Brother, I hear your anger and your urge to break free. I hear your longing for your loved ones. I can smell you. Your fear, your sweat, your fear.
All right, ladies. So when we meet tomorrow, we'll continue. I'll continue to show you the video, especially the one with
Want to pass your certification exams first time?
former U.S. President Barack Obama visiting the door of no return. That is the last place. That is their last image of Africa before they went onto the slave ship. We meet again tomorrow morning at 8. Any question, any comments? All right, ladies, see you tomorrow at 8.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, sir.
At Exam Labs, we've got you covered. Looking for it.
I'm Anderson Cooper in Cape Coast, Ghana, and this is 10 to 40 million enslaved Africans, is in many ways deeply personal for President Obama. It's a journey that encompasses both the around this
walls can speak, and that
something you referenced actually during the campaign in your speech on.
It's through this door that